Hello everyone and welcome back to the Half-Acre Homestead. It is June 11th and it is 88 degrees outside and it is humid as all get out. I have been working in the yard here and there this last week and it's been high 80s all week and I have just come back inside dripping sweat. It is crazy outside. So, but it's been a hot minute since I did a tour and there have been some things that have been happening. Even within the last week, I have seen a huge growth in the garden. So I would like to share that with you if you would come on a journey with me. So we've got a couple little seedlings poking up here. These are actually these guys, the gazanias. And so I'm excited to see those pop up. I planted some in the garden too, but I'm not sure if they're doing anything. Kind of hard to tell with where I planted. So I planted them here so I could get a better view of them. All of our hostas have shoots with blooms on them and they are starting to open, which I love that I'm seeing so many flowers starting to bloom. And then down here, I didn't know if they would come up, but they did. And those are our gladiolas that were planted. And then I've got the dahlias in front. And I don't know what is going on with the leaves. Something's eating them or something, but I haven't seen any blossoms on there yet, except it looks like there's one here that's about to open up sometime soon. So, but this is where I also planted the rest of those gazanias or whatever they were. But I haven't been able to identify where they've come up yet, so. So these babies, I'm expecting those to open at any time. And we've got the gorgeous hibiscus that I just drool over every time I see. These are, I want to say, I'm blanking on the name of them. I think they're a lily. Don't hold me to that though. We planted them last year and I was excited to see that they were perennials. The hydrangea also has some budding blossoms on it, which cannot wait to see that get bigger. I love hydrangeas, they're one of my favorites. And then there's nothing too much going on over here, but the peonies are starting to open and they're just delayed from, as you can see, some of the blossoms have dried up as a result of the transplant, and they are definitely delayed starting and opening as a result of that. But this is a yellow rose that got planted a little bit late, but I'm super excited that it's gonna end up blooming. And the other rose had its first bloom yesterday. And it's gorgeous. And then here's another one that's coming. Like, that's how bright pink they are. And it's like a bud. And then it opens up and it's like a super pale pink. But I didn't know if these would bloom or not this first year, and I'm really excited to see that they are. I also planted the Shasta daisies down here. And they're hiding. Like, if I kind of like move the mulch around, I can see the green. So they don't look like they're dead. But they haven't done any growth since I planted them a couple weeks ago, and they're getting watered consistently. So I don't know what is going on with those or with the chamomile. There's some, like in each little pot, you can kind of see the greens, like you know they're there, they're alive, but they're not like getting big enough to come out of the mulch yet. The calendula is looking really good. I only had one that died down here, but I have more that I can move that over, but they're doing really well. And then the helichrysum's not doing too bad. They're kind of hiding out but you can still see them poking up. So we've got another peony blossom that's gonna open there. And then the tomatoes have been tricky. I've, you know, gone back and forth with watering them and not watering them, and they definitely need more water. I need to water them today, but yeah, they'll perk up with more water, but I don't know what's going on with them. When I transplanted them over into the actual garden, you'll see in a little bit that they actually have been coming back and doing really well. And there's like new growth that you can see there. The corn's doing well. They're gonna get transplanted soon into the ground. The echinacea is doing great. There's like one little lavender here, and I don't know what happened to all the other sprouts. I'm like super confused by it. So I don't know what happened, but there's only one. And then I put some extra tomatoes in these plants, and they're doing this weird thing where they're like cutting off at the place where they meet the soil. And so I did some research, and it seemed like that was due to like bad drainage. But I mean, I don't know, there was no way to put holes in the bottom, even though it said that like there was actually a spot to punch drainage holes in, but they were little dollar store things, and it totally cracked the plastic when I tried it with the one. So I don't know, but, and then I didn't think the asparagus I planted was supposed to come up this year, and it surprised me by coming through one of my seed trays, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So I don't know, but there's asparagus. And then all of the extra plants that I'm not quite sure what to do with, I've been slowly giving them away as I find people who are interested. And then we have the strawberries, which these guys haven't done anything, and I'm not sure why or what's going on. Although, I don't know what that little green guy is. But, and this one had strawberries on it, and then it just, they've died off. So, I'm not sure what the deal is. I'm hoping that because they're perennial, they'll come back next year, and that'll be what happens. And then I've got a little tower for spinach, lettuce, and kale here. And then I transplanted the zinnias. They need more water. They're looking a little rough, but this is Landon's little garden here. And I weeded it yesterday, transplanted some marigolds, and I took the zinnias that he had just put all in one pile, just dumped the seeds in, and they grew great, but I thinned them out and transplanted them, gave them some spacing. I did that with the marigolds in the border on this garden too. They were all like lumped together. So I went through and I did a full perimeter border of the marigolds. And so these pots, I realized when I started to see stuff come up, I was like, oh my goodness, so herbs from last year are coming up again. But it's just been like grass. I think I've got like one little cilantro growing there, and that's it. And then, but like these crazy weeds, like I'm not entirely sure what all of the different herbs look like when they sprout. So I've left some of them, but like as you can see, like this weed here is common, and like all the pots. And I know that that's not thyme and it's not rosemary, so it's just a weed, but I haven't pulled them yet. I did weed the garden yesterday, but as I'm still kind of waiting to see stuff develop, I haven't pulled everything yet. So the rosemary, I think these little guys down here are rosemary, and they're coming up. And then, but if that's the case, no rosemary has sprouted in this yet. And all those are just weeds. And then these little guys here are thyme, and also down here. And then oregano is another weird one that it kind of looks like basil to me. And so I'm not quite sure. Like this kind of looks like a little bit like basil, but basil and oregano kind of look similar when I looked it up. So I left it there thinking maybe it was oregano, but I, again, am a little confused. I don't know what's going on with the oregano, and I'm not quite sure. Like a lot of these are the same weeds that were down there, but I don't know what's oregano and what's not in here. So I'm just leaving it to wait and see. These are basil. So the basil's done well. Same story here. I pulled out a ton of grass that was in here. And I mean, I don't know, I left this, kind of looks like something or another, but I don't know. Could be a weed. I've seen a few of those still. And then the parsley's just now coming up. And then this is parsley as well. But again, these are all weeds. And that might be some parsley over there. But yeah, we just put a sprinkler in. I've been watering it manually this entire time. So we just put the sprinkler in and seeing how that works. And it seems to be doing good so far. It's missing kind of the ends, but it's covering the majority, which is nice. And then we've got mint. And the mint, like, there's some little guys here, and it's only in this pot because mint's invasive. But like, I guess there's one little guy right there too, but it's not really doing a whole lot quickly. So I don't know. Chives got transplanted in here. And then the dill's doing really good. Cilantro. And then this is, I didn't pull anything like this, pull anything from here, but this is like what the other ones were, just grass and whatever this weird weed is. So that is that. And then let's go take a look inside the actual garden. Oh, real quick, I'll show you over here. We did just get this shed put together. Needs a door and that's it, but I moved the pumpkins over here. So we've got a couple, 3 pumpkins right here in this row. And we'll feed those to the pigs. And also carve them and pumpkin seeds and maybe some pumpkin puree or whatever with them. But these are just kind of like we didn't have another place for it, and it was the best place we could get for it to be out of the way. So those are the pumpkins. So this bed has like exploded in the last week. Like the carrots have just like really popped up and taken form and really filled out, and this zucchini has gotten tremendously larger. I feel like it was this size a week ago, and then it got to that. And so that's been crazy. We've got these provider beans here, and more sprouted. So I thinned them and transplanted them, which is why some of them look a little worse for wear at the moment. And then I planted one little guy over here because I'm eventually going to put up like a nylon trellis for snap peas. And for now, that one can grow there. These are the Brad's Atomic Grape tomatoes, and they're looking better than they did when I first put them in. And it really needs some more soil to fill around it, but so far it's been fine. But they're not looking as vibrant as the other ones are. This one's probably the best looking one of the 4 here. But this variety, I've noticed this one and then the yellow pear tomatoes are like not doing as well as the Roma and the grape. So I'll show you the sunflowers real quick. They're coming up. And then I planted a few more seeds that have sprouted. Let's see, there's one here, or actually a couple here. Because I just want to fill them all in. And I would love to have them all the way through fall. So I'm gonna keep planting them as they die out. But these are the yellow pear, and they are doing better. They've got new green growth on them, but they've been slower to do that than the cherry and the grape and the Romas. And these are the grape. So they've got a ton of new green growth. They're not as far along as I would have hoped that they would be by now for, you know, having started them indoors. It actually wasn't until I feel like they got in the soil that they were really kind of flourishing. And I think the transplant in the full sun, they probably needed to be hardened off in full sun a little more directly for a little bit longer than they were. But these are this bed here and this bed here are both Romas, and a lot of the new green growth is doing really well. So even though it may have been that they hadn't been hardened off in the full sun so much, because they got a lot of full day sun, but it was just that they were in a different location with more direct sun. And I think that that's what the deal was. But I really need to, as you can see the little white butterfly, I really need to cover my cabbage and my broccoli, because we're starting to get some holes, and I think there's some aphids going on. But the broccoli is doing really well so far. And the cabbage, the one guy's doing pretty good. I've got more down here that have finally sprouted, and then more down here, in hopes to get those other two going. So yeah, here are the rest of the sunflowers. They'll go down the row. And then we've got spaghetti squash, which is looking fabulous over here. And then we've got our loofah gourds, which are doing well. So there's 4 of those. And the Kajari melons are really throwing me for a loop. Like, this guy's doing good. This guy like died, and he's suffering from the same thing that those tomatoes are in those green pots, where like where this the stem met the soil, it like rotted, and then he died. So I only have 2 Kajari melon vines right now, and so I'm thinking about planting another couple to see, since I lost that one. And also didn't do well for a transplant either, which I'm wondering now that I say that, maybe that was a transplant, and that's why it's not doing well. So, and then we have our garlic, which is beautiful. It's starting to droop, and it's starting to have little garlic scapes coming up, slowly but surely. I'm thinking a July harvest for those. And then I planted garlic in this bin. And our plans are to buy an already established Brussels sprout, or a couple of them, and put them here. But then I also need to put okra here too, and I need to plant that this weekend. But the potatoes are good. They're yellowing a bit on the bottom, so they could be starting to die off. I'm just kind of watching them to see what their like water levels are and all that. So, and then we've got the green bed. The kale is getting bigger. I feel conflicted because I know that they were all planted very close together and they really needed to get thinned out, but a lot of what I had heard was that they will naturally thin out. So I just kind of let it be to kind of see how it would do. And they're just not getting as big as I would like them to, with them being so close together. The spinach, I'm not super pleased with the spinach. It wilted. It's not doing super well in the heat. So I'm kind of bummed about that, because it didn't get super big before it got really hot. But it's also been a really weird year too, so I'm gonna blame it on that. but the kale I'd like to see bigger before I harvest it. And I just don't know if it's gonna get there before, you know, I don't know if it's gonna get stunted with its growth or what. The lettuce could get harvested, some of that. But again, I think it's a little odd that some of it's so small. So, and all of it's been fertilized, so I'm not sure. I'm still kind of gauging what I want to do here. But trial and error, that's how we roll. And then our cucumbers. These are all pickling cucumbers on this side. And the ones down here didn't do so well. I ended up thinning them out and transplanting the ones that were too close together. And the pickling cucumbers kind of, I don't think I planted any on this side. I think I was planning on planting something else and then decided I wasn't going to do that. So I filled it in with a few more seedlings that are just now coming up. And then again, these are some more like, the smaller ones are probably the transplants that are behind in growth due to being transplanted. But they're doing pretty well. Then when we get about halfway down the line here, they go to slicer cucumbers. And we're starting to move peppers and tomatoes into this bed too. So these are the green peppers that I started from seed last year and have kept over winter. And they're actually doing, like, they don't look amazing, but they're coming back. Like, look, I've got a little baby right there. So I'm gonna train them to go up the fence when they get a little bit taller, and we'll see how that goes. But I mean, for what it's worth, I can't really ask for anything more. And then we did buy a banana pepper already established, because I didn't get around to getting seeds for it, and I want them for some of the recipes we plan on doing. And so that one's doing fine. Nothing coming on yet that I can see. And then we've got this, it's called a Sun Sugar Yellow Cherry Hybrid Tomato that Jonathan really wanted for like the breakfast tomatoes. We went to Ireland and they had these gorgeous tomatoes on the vine. And so he's kind of hoping that these will be the same thing. And there's a couple growing down there. A few, you can see the little babies. So, yeah. As I'm now sweating because I'm in the sun, that concludes it all. Oh, I skipped over the onions. We can show you the onions. So, I guess I missed the onions somehow. The onions are here. They are getting thicker, so that's good, but they're still small. They're still like little babies. And the reason they're so close together as opposed to being far apart is because I'd seen somewhere that they grow out, or like they grow, I guess out maybe isn't the best way to say that, but that basically the space doesn't conflict. So hopefully that is true and that is the case. Yeah, I think that's it. I thought thistles were from the double, but these are right there with them. Not because they have thorns, but simply because they don't go away. I have pulled these out so many times in an attempt to kill them, and they keep coming back. And they're everywhere in my yard. And I can't use, I have 240 and I can't use it because of the garden. So I just have to keep pulling them and then using like this Epsom salt dishwash vinegar solution, just so that's been working, but they still come back. So in any case, yeah. And since what is a homestead tour without animals, it's really more of a garden tour today, but how can I not show you the animals and give you an animal update? Because I'm sure you want to see how big those pigs are and see our wonderful poultry. So I will show them to you. Our ducks are lovely, lively, swimming. Dirty little faces. And then we have Henrietta out right now. Another water container that needs to be filled. One of our barred dog babies. And they're all kind of like hanging out underneath. Focus. Oh, it's not going to focus for me. They're all hanging out underneath. So. And then our piggies. Hello. Hi. Hello. I know you guys need a water refill too. We had one of those just like an hour ago. It's crazy how fast they go through water. They'll run up to me. They're so funny, but look how big they've gotten. Can't pick those babes up no more. Can't pick them up no more. Hello. Hello. Hello, Willie.